This is how the Pixel app looks like. I'll be explaining each of these icons one after the other, starting with the plus sign. The plus sign is to add text, sticker, shapes, images from gallery, and etc. The second icon is to save your work. Now this icon here is to import an image from your gallery, to change the image size and the rest. Okay, now clicking on this pencil sign is to edit your the object or text you want to edit. Okay, and this icon here is to delete it. Okay, when you click on it, whatever you want to delete, you can simply delete it using that icon. Now this icon is to go back. Let's assume you make a mistake, you can click on it to go back. You can see now this, you can zoom your work for other effects. And now clicking on this icon, we have the tabs icon. Okay, so each object here has its layer. Okay, you can see each object here has its own layer. Now going below here, now we have the first icon, which is to start up a new project. The second icon is what we call the text button. Okay, you can add the text. When you add the text, you can see varieties of options has appeared when you added a text. Okay, now the third icon here is to I call it a shape button or object button. Okay, when you are dealing with anything shapes or objects, you click on it. Now this icon here is when you want to change the color of your background, or you want to make your background transparent, you can click on it. You can also add images from your gallery as your background. Okay, so clicking on the last icon here, we have you can add effects to your design like brightness, contrast, but for now stay away from these effects. Okay, so now we'll be exploring each of these icons one after the other. Okay, we have increased the size. You can move the position of your objects from this place. Okay, you can move it. Now we are going to be talking more of the coloring. Okay, you can see just 4 colors are on display here. When you click on this plus sign, you are open to varieties of color. Okay, let's assume the green, for example. You can make it at the brightest peak, and you can also darken it. Okay, so this is a bright green and this is a dark green. Okay, now we have what we call the texture. Okay, so instead of the color, you can also use a texture. Okay, the texture is just like using an image as the color. Let me see if I have one. All right, something like this. Now this is how the texture works. Okay, the opacity is just like the visibility of the object. So you can rotate your icon, your objects. Now the font is just like the design. Everybody has his or her own handwriting. Okay, so it's just like the handwriting of your text. Okay, you can see the difference between this and this. Okay, so you can make your work bold, you can make it italics or underlined. You can curve your work for now, and you can also add a background. Okay, we'll explore more on the background as time goes on. Now you can give your work a stroke. The stroke is just like the outermost part of the object. Okay, so you can increase the stroke or reduce it. We have the shadow. The shadow is used mostly for 3D design, so for now you stay away from the shadow effects. Okay, we have the emboss, though it's not supported by all phones, but these are the emboss works. Okay, we have the 3D effects. Yeah, the 3D effects. Mostly we use the 3D effect when you are making a 3D design. Okay, you can rotate it to see the 3D effects very well. You can see the 3D effect, but for now we will not be using the 3D effects. Okay, we have the 3D shadow and reflection. Okay, so now let's learn more on. I'll make 2 copies of this. Let me change this color. Let me give it a black color. Okay, so now let me add a text. So I just want to show you the effects of color. For example, now this white, let me choose a color for this white. Let me choose a color. Now I'll be using a bright color, something like this. Okay, when you place it here now, it's very visible. Okay, but when you place it here, it's not visible except you look very well before you can see it. Okay, let me make a copy of this now. Let me give it a dark color, the dark blue, for example. Let me make a copy and give it a red color. So now we have universal colors like the red, green, yellow. Okay, so they suit in almost every background. Okay, like the red now, when you place it here, is very visible, and when you place it here, is also very visible. Now using this, for example, when you place it here, you can see it's very visible, and when you place it here, it's very hard to see. You understand? So now we place black, for example, is a dark background and white is a bright background. So we place bright images or text on dark backgrounds and dark images or text on bright backgrounds. You can see when I swap this and swap this, you can see the difference. So we have to be careful when using our colors. Okay, now there's a strategy I want to improvise here. For example, now look at this. Now this has a white color, you can't see it at all, but I'll be adding a background. Now when I add a background, let me give it a red color. You understand? Let me make it at the highest pitch. You can see now you can make this this background text in a very stylish way. Okay, let me reduce this. You can reduce the radius, increase the radius, I mean. You can see you can increase the radius. Let's increase it left and right. Okay, so I'm just doing this very fast because of our time. Okay, so you can see you can also add a background. If you really want to use that color, you can add a background to your text, but you don't use it anyhow. You have to be careful when using a background, okay, because it has to suit in your design. Now we are going to be exploring the tabs icon again. Like I told you, each object has its tabs. Okay, when I bring this to this point, you can see it's going to the back. Okay, when an object is going to the back like that, you click on, if it's a shape, you click on the shapes button. Now you move it to the front. You can see it has come to the front. You can also move it to the back. Okay, now you can, let's assume I want to merge. Let me delete this. let's assume I want to merge these two icons together. Okay, you can click on it. Once we click on this icon here to merge this icon below, to merge them together. Okay, you can see it's flowing together. So with this, I think I've introduced you to the Pixel app. So thank you for staying tuned. I remain Isaac Man.